former U.S. ambassador to the Republic of Korea. Chris Hill is the dean of the Josef Korbel School of International Studies at the University of Denver. I asked him about the impact this will have on the wider Asia-Pacific region.
Well, certainly this has been expected for some time. Park Geun-hye has been enmeshed in this scandal involving her kind of lifetime friend, and who was clearly selling influence, and access to the president. So this has been going on for some time. But of course, now we're dealing with the very direct consequences. There's going to be an election in the next 60 days. And in fact, the American Secretary of State, who has planned this trip to Korea for some time, will be arriving just at the beginning of that campaign cycle. Moreover, the North Koreans have shown zero interest in negotiation, zero interest in living up to their previous obligations, and in fact have kind of doubled down on trying to achieve their status of having a deliverable nuclear weapon. And by the way, they've also engaged in things they've done before, but in this case, this kind of hideous and blatant assassination of Kim Jong-nam in the Kuala Lumpur airport. So it's a very, very difficult time. The expectation in Korea is there may be a change of parties moving into the Blue House. This could have an effect on Korean-Japanese relations and, of course, on Korean-U.S. relations as well.
So if the left does win, unpack that for us. You said it could affect relations with Japan. It could affect relations with the United States. Clearly, it could also affect relations with China.
Well, historically, left-of-center governments in Korea have taken the view that somehow they are somewhat more critical of the Japanese, a little less willing to work with the U.S., and historically have kind of cut the North Koreans a certain amount of sympathy and been more interested in engaging with North Korea. And with respect to China, of course, that's not enough historical data really to go on. But in short, these left-of-center Korean governments tend to be a little more nationalistic.
Now, the ROK is under Park Geun-hye had tried to kind of thread the needle, having a good relationship with Washington and Beijing at the same time. That's pretty difficult to do. Let me ask you this. China's perspective is that destabilizes things, and instead of arms, there should be diplomacy. You're a diplomat, and clearly the six-party talks didn't go anywhere, and I know you feel as though diplomacy with the government and the DPRK may not go anywhere, but how do you get the diplomatic piece of this going again, or can you?
It's very difficult, and right now the problem is that Kim Jong-un, this third-generation Kim, seems very disinterested in negotiation. So it doesn't appear that they're particularly interested in talks, except to have talks on the basis of being a nuclear power, and they're prepared to talk to the U.S. on the basis of sort of two nuclear powers. And the U.S. does not accept the idea that North Korea should be a nuclear power, and by the way, neither does China. So I think it kind of behooves the U.S. and China to have a kind of deep dive on these issues and to try to see if they can overcome some of the trust issues that have been raised over the years between the U.S. and China. China has no interest in a North Korea with nuclear weapons, and neither does the U.S. So there needs to be, I think, a better understanding of each other's positions, which are more similar than both countries seem to think.